That's why I would not be able to continue a relationship with this person. I just wouldn't be able to do it. So, welcome everyone to the She Said What podcast, where today we'll be discussing women who romanticise criminals. Well, like high-profile criminals. You've seen a lot, haven't you, of this guy, this particular guy that stands out. This Wade Wilson guy.
Yeah, because women see him as very handsome.
Yeah, people see him as really handsome. Thing is, for me, personally, if I know someone's done something horrific, automatically they're unattractive. I don't know about you, but that should be a thing for everyone, surely. Know that the minute someone does something, it's like the same when you're dating someone, isn't it? That you can find them really attractive, you love them. The minute they do something off-putting, you sort of lose that. It loses that appeal. The attractiveness loses that appeal because you go, oh, yeah. I don't look at them the same now that they've done that. But for some reason, I feel like in these cases, the fact they've done something bad is part of the attraction. I don't think it's just their looks.
You could be right, yeah.
I think they're attracted to an almost an extreme version of a bad boy. You know, that's what that is. They're attracted to an extreme version of a bad boy. And it's mental illness, let's be honest.
Yeah.
You know, it's mental illness. I've got some basic facts here about.
Do you think as well, people think that somehow that they would be able to change them or something? Or if they were with me, that wouldn't happen. Do you know if there's that kind of scenario?
I think there is an element of that. I think there is an element of that. I think these women think that they can, you know, change and heal this man. But none of us are that special. And I'm not being rude. But if he's going to murder one woman, he's going to unalive another. He doesn't care about, and he's not going to care about anyone, is he? No. It's that, you know, it's about the way that they bang on about the tattoos on the face for me. Because I personally don't like tattoos on a face. Not that extreme. I don't mind like the odd little one here and there, but that, I mean, like the whole face covered in tattoos, I that's never been attractive. No. When did that change?
and most people that kind of you've ever seen like that are kind of convicts or whatever, aren't they?
They're convicts, yeah.
Yeah.
Who do you know that has that on their face that isn't some sort of criminal in some way? Come on. Not one person that has that on their face is normal. And I'm not trying to be judgmental because tattoos, I have a tattoo, but it's not like a skull thing on my face. You know, that's one thing having a tattoo. Yeah. And it's one thing having one on your face, but, you know, that's not attractive, is it? Let's be honest. So, yeah, he has a apparent Nazi tattoo on his face, which obviously is, like, not attractive. It's mental illness, obviously, with these women. Because what else can it be? A normal woman isn't going to do that, are they?
Or is it having someone that's, like, unobtainable? So you kind of,
It's a fantasy thing, isn't it? Because, obviously, these women...
They can't go anywhere, can he?
No.
You know?
He's in prison forever.
Yeah.
So it can be a fantasy thing in their mind without actually having to meet him and be around him. Some of them would still do that, though. That's the thing. Some of them would still meet up and visit these people, but they know they can't do anything because they're in prison. I just find it hard to believe that someone that would want to do that, they aren't mentally ill. It has to come down to mental illness every time. You know, I think some people have got dark humour and they might joke around a little bit, make a joke about, oh, he's going to fit or whatever as a joke. But I think most women that do this, they have mental health problems. Because what normal person with a sound mind is going to find someone like that attractive? That's the truth. What person of a sound mind is going to find someone like that attractive? No one. So he unalived 2 women, obviously in a horrific way. I'm going to not say certain things on here because obviously, you know, you're not allowed to say certain things. And you know, some of it's quite horrible. So he didn't just kill them, you know, he unalived them in a horrific manner. And so I can't help but think that this is some sort of fetish thing that these women have for these men. The thing is, as well, you see it with people like Chris Watts. I've got an extract here. It says, despite being a convicted unaliver, Chris Watts has a number of pen pals, most of whom seem to be female, who all believe he's innocent.
Yeah,
they believe he's innocent.
I'm saying even his parents, that they're trying to blame it on the girlfriend, aren't they? The two children.
Yeah, despite the fact that he admitted to unaliving his, you know, 3 children and his wife. He's serving 5 life sentences for that. And I just think, how can any woman... Some of these women presumably have children as well.
Yeah.
Presumably. I could be wrong about that. I might have to look into, like, these women a little bit more.
This is... So with Wade Wilson, he met a woman at a bar, went to her home, and then... I don't think I can say that. He stopped her breathing while she slept. He then assaulted his actual then girlfriend and tried to force her into a car. He then lured another woman into a car and stopped her breathing and then ran her over multiple times, even after he'd done that. So that is how vicious this man is.
I know, it's quite horrific.
How can anybody feel any level of attraction to somebody knowing that? Because it doesn't matter how attractive you are, because surely that attractiveness would turn ugly once you know certain details.
Exactly. Surely that person then becomes hideous.
Yeah.
In your eyes, knowing what they did. But, you know, we do have some screwed up individuals in our society, and those people have weird fetishes. And I'm telling you now, a lot of it is the fetish. Because this man, they know that they're never going to be able to actually physically be with this man. And you know what? I think some women like to be edgy. I think some of it's they like to be edgy. They want to be different. And they want to say something wild. And deep down, they wouldn't, you know, they wouldn't really.
Yeah.
But I do believe a small proportion of these women are severely mentally ill and would genuinely actually have a proper relationship with this man if he left, but not that he ever can. Because he's been sentenced to unaliving, hasn't he?
But I should imagine, even if you want... See, they're trying to stop that as well, aren't they?
They're trying to stop it, I know, which is ludicrous. Absolutely insane.
But it's so insulting for the families of the victims as well.
It is, because to me, you lose any human rights once you take the life of another. That's just my view. And
I think at least one of them was a mother, and I just... It shouldn't make any difference whether someone's a mother or not, but...
Just extra details that hurt all the more.
Yeah.
I know, and this is the thing, you know, family members have to live with what happened for the rest of their lives. And this person, people feel sorry for them. Like, they feel sorry for the person that's in jail for doing that to them. It's ludicrous. It's this weird sort of coddle culture that we live in now, where everyone's a victim, even people that have committed heinous crimes. And in some ways, they often get, you know, a lot of protection after they've done these things because people want to hurt them, which is understandable. But you shouldn't receive any protection after you've done something like that. You know, you've shown yourself to not value human life. That's my view on it. And once you've done that, there's no going back. And we know this about human behaviour as well, because when you do anything, you know, it's that one action, that action becomes desensitised to you. So anything you do above that then becomes desensitised. So you then, you know what I mean, becomes normalised.
Yeah.
And they say it starts with animals. I wonder if his behaviour started prior with things like that, because he clearly had some mental health issues.
Yeah, because they try and claim to an animal, then...
Yeah, they're trying to use certain things, aren't they, to sort of gauge sympathy for him. Which, how can anyone have sympathy for anything? I just can't. Even if something horrible happened to him in the past, I can't have sympathy for that if you've done this to another human being.
And what shocked me about the Chris Watts case, the way his mother...
The mum,
how she's behaved, the family behaved, and that there's absolutely no kind of, doesn't seem to be any feeling there or empathy or anything, even for
like
the
her grandchildren.
Well, that's her grandchildren and unborn grandchild, because she was pregnant.
Grandchild. I just don't understand how I could not actually forgive my son if they done that.
No, how could
my grandkids?
You know, the fact that she was carrying life, and in it's life that you put inside her, and those children are your flesh and blood. Even if you had a certain feeling against her, I'm not saying it's right, but
to be honest with you though, those feelings against her about anything, you know, she would have done as a wife, there couldn't have been it just wouldn't have been anything in comparison to what Chris did to the grandchildren and her. So this is what hello, like anything she would have done, anything petty she would have done that annoyed you, if you just didn't like her, surely any of that you would just delete or not care about any of that. You wouldn't.
No.
Because that's horrific. And no one deserves that. And the way she spoke about her, to me, was as if she felt she deserved it. It was almost like...
that's the impression I got.
Yeah.
That's the impression I got. Who deserves that, though?
No.
Do you know what? Exactly. I don't even care if she cheated on him, done whatever. Doesn't matter. Nothing is that you divorce and leave, move on.
Nothing is that deep, normal human behaviour, like petty behaviour, like... Yeah, cheating's wrong or whatever, but murder is way further along that spectrum. And that's the part. You'd forget about the cheating. You'd forget about the things that she's done
to you. It's not,
because that's horrific.
You might, no matter how hurt you are, you just divorce.
That just nothing bears in comparison. I mean, you've lost your grandchildren. You've lost your grandchildren, and you'll sit here feeling sympathising, saying the way she spoke about it as well was like, something about, I can't believe this happened to him, or I had no idea that was going to happen to him, as if he was the victim. No, he did what happened to him. He kind of caused that. Like, the way she spoke about it was if he was the victim and something had happened to him. Well, no, he happened to other people. That's what happened. Yeah. He happened. You know, that's the thing, but it's that typical boy mum, you know, I'm not saying that all people that have a son are like that, but that's that boy mum thing, isn't it, where no matter what their son does, they could do no wrong, they'll help them bury the body, you know, like that kind of thing. But going back to this Wade, so it says here, Wilson's lawyers argued that he suffered brain damage from drug addiction, and he had abandonment issues stemming from being given up for adoption by his biological parents. His adoptive parents pleaded for clemency, saying that in a letter that the human is still in there, apparently. Wilson was also found guilty of grand theft, burglary and dwelling, battery and petty theft. So, a long list, you know, of crimes. I don't think a human is in there, actually. The way he spoke about them and the way he's behaved, I don't think a human's in there.
No.
I think it's crazy to say that. And, you know, I guess it's easy to say that.
But you can't
having not had a son that's done this. But
lots of people have been brain damaged, haven't they? And it doesn't make them do that.
It doesn't make them. It's like, you know, when people try and say that, that person was on the spectrum or whatever, so it's an excuse for murdering someone. It's not. Exactly. We know people that are on the spectrum. I'm on the spectrum. Yeah. You're on the spectrum. Like, it doesn't make you a murderer. It doesn't. It's crazy. Anyone that does this, because it's one thing, sort of self-defense. People, you know, I can imagine a scenario where anyone could end up doing that in self-defense, killing someone in self-defense or something. Yeah. Like, you know, you just don't know. You don't know. But this is a whole different thing. You know, that including the Chris Watts case. Wade Wilson and Chris Watts. Like, there's no forgiving what they did. These things are preventable things. Like, they didn't have to do this.
Yeah.
You know? And there may be things that could have been prevented, like, say if Wilson's mental health was dealt with earlier or whatever, you know, maybe if they locked him up in a mental institute because he clearly had some real issues. At the end of the day, he's responsible for what he did.
You still can't make that as an excuse, can you?
He's still responsible for what he did as an adult, as a grown adult. He's 31 years old. He's a grown adult. You know, no one else is responsible for what he did. Even if he was abused or whatever, even if it, like, whatever happened in his past, that's not an excuse.
You can't, yeah.
There's millions of people that have gone through bad experiences as a child, that were adopted, that were fostered, whatever. There's just so many, and those people do not become murderers. So, you know. I actually had so I was looking for the Am I the A-hole things. I was looking through them for, obviously, some of the Am I the A-hole videos we're doing.
Yeah.
And I found one where it might be interesting to read, because it's basically a guy that found that his girlfriend is pen pals with a murderer. So this one, oh my God, yeah. I saw this. I haven't read it. I just saw the title. And it's weird because it come up and we was going to discuss this, and I was actually looking for Reddit stories, just random Am I the A-hole Reddit stories, and this one appeared. So I was like, whoa, okay, this will be perfect for what we're discussing. So my 29 male, so he's 29 male, girlfriend, 28 female, is pen pals with a convicted murderer. How do we work through this? Just to preface, I'm new to Reddit as of a couple of weeks ago. I don't really have anyone to talk to about this. And the final option I could think of was to create an account and lurk around while trying to find any situations that might be similar to mine. But I can't seem to find anything. So I'm breaking down and making a post. Sorry if formatting is weird since I'm on a mobile. I'm sorry if it's hella long post. 29 male, I have a serious girlfriend, 28 female, of a little over a year, who I'll refer to as Jay. We have a lot of mutual friends and generally share the same friend group, which is how we met. So I don't want to risk going to any of my friends about this. Not that I think that they'd have any idea what to tell me anyway, and I'm afraid that they'd start to see her or treat her differently anyway. We've gotten really serious over the last 6 months or so, to the point that we've been looking into apartments and even picked out a couple of options. My current lease ends next month and hers will be up in November, so it's kind of perfect timing. We both have decent jobs and make comparable money, agreed to go 50-50 on all costs for the foreseeable future, all that good adult stuff. I've been really, really excited to start this new chapter with her. I even started casually looking at rings a couple of months ago because, honestly, I feel like she is the one for me. She is smart, beautiful, funny, loved by nearly everyone she meets, and just overall the best person I've ever met, let alone dated. Now on to the issue. About 2 weeks ago, I was spending the weekend at her place. We usually alternate weekends at one another's apartment and sometimes spend weeknights together. I ended up catching kind of a stomach bug or something on Sunday and took a sick day off work on Monday. Jay invited me to stay at her apartment until at least Monday night, since I still wasn't feeling well enough to drive back home. And she was really sweet about it and offered to take care of me, make me soup and all that good stuff. She works 10 to 6 on Mondays, so I was in the apartment alone during that time. I mostly slept and spent time in the bathroom. But at one point, I didn't make it to the toilet in time and made a pretty gross mess on her bathroom floor. I really didn't want to leave it for her to deal with, so I called to ask if she had any extra towels. She really didn't care about that. I called to ask if she had any extra towels she really didn't care about that I could use to clean up the mess. She didn't answer because she was busy at work and not near her phone, so I went digging through her linen closet, looking behind all the really good towels and blankets to find the rattier and stained ones. We've all got them crappy towels, haven't we?
Yeah.
They ended up being on the top shelf, and I was weak and frustrated. So when I pulled them down, a couple other things that were stuffed away up there came falling down, including a shoebox I'd never seen before. I really don't like going through her things when she's not around because we respect each other's privacy and I completely trust her. But as I was cleaning up what I'd spilled, I happened to notice something odd, and I just couldn't help but be a little nosy. It was an envelope addressed to her, and the return address was a prison in another state. As I looked at the other stuff in the shoebox, I found way more envelopes just like it, as well as some drawings. I'll admit, in a moment of weakness, I could not help myself. I had to see what was going on. This is where I feel the need to explain that I found it so odd because she has told me everything about her past, her family, her childhood. I could name every pet she's ever had, and I've met her parents, both of her siblings, and quite a few of her cousins, aunts and uncles, and not once has anyone, least of all her, told me about knowing anyone in prison, let alone communicating with them. So it turns out these letters date way back before we ever started dating. And the most recent was from about 3 months ago. Obviously, I didn't see the ones she sent, but the ones she received were very affectionate. For lack of a better term, like something long-distance lovers would write to each other. I know Jay has a big interest in true crime and listens to a lot of podcasts, watches a lot of documentaries and all that stuff. Nothing really unusual, since it seems like a ton of women are really into true crime these days. But I recognised this guy's name pretty quickly, and knowing what he did and finding out my girlfriend, who I adore and love so deeply, actually talks to him this way is really effing with my head. I won't name the guy specifically in case that violates some kind of rule on here, but let's just say this case was huge and fairly recent, like within the last 5 years, and he very brutally killed his pregnant wife and couple of kids. He even confessed, for F's sake. I ended up reading through about 3 or 4 of the letters until they literally made me sick. The stomach bug didn't help with that, but even now I feel nauseous just thinking about it. Then I put everything back just the way I'd found it, cleaned up my mess in the bathroom and drove myself home. I texted her and made up an excuse that I was feeling better enough to get myself home and that I just wanted to sleep on my own bed so I could return to work as usual the next day. But honestly, I could hardly bear to look at her afterwards. Since then, we've spent a few days together, but I've made up excuses as to why I've been too busy to spend much time with her. In all honesty, I really want to talk to her about this, but I'm afraid she'll lie, or I don't even know. I'm even more afraid, I guess, that she'll just tell me the truth and expect me to be okay with it. I still love her deeply. I miss her every hour of every day, and I've been sleeping like shit and super distracted throughout the day trying to figure out how to handle this. I can't talk to anyone about it. I really, really do not want to just end the relationship over this. Genuinely, I see a future with this woman. I love her with all my heart, and I don't know that I will ever find anyone else I care about this much. But how do I move past this? Is there any part of it I'm not considering? I know most of you will probably say, just talk to her. And I know that's logically the best plan. But at the same time, what if she confesses to being in love with a sick effing murderer? This dude killed his entire family in cold blood. How could she even entertain the idea of writing to him, let alone those kind of letters? Maybe it's just a morbid curiosity on her part. And if I do just talk to her about it, what do I say? How do I even approach the subject? Any advice would be greatly appreciated. And before any of the paranoid people pop in, no, I do not think she has been or would ever cheat on me. I don't know if I even consider this cheating since it's just letters and they'll never realistically meet face to face. But just the idea that she would want to correspond with this guy is sickening. To me, how do we get past it? Maybe she just needs some serious therapy for some sort of issues she's never realised she has. I don't know. I'm truly at a loss here. TLDR, found out my serious girlfriend. I don't know what that means, but found out my serious girlfriend who I love and adore and I want to spend the rest of my life is secretly pen pals with a convicted murderer. How do I talk to her about this? And how do I work past my own discomfort with the entire situation?
That must be an acronym, mustn't it? That what's it? Yeah, TLDR. I'll look it up. I'll Google it. Do you know what I think?
That's
personally, I know, like he's saying there, oh, don't tell me, you'll tell me to speak to her. Well, I think he does need to speak to her.
Yeah, he of course needs to speak to her. Yeah.
He needs to speak to her. What he needs, the first thing he needs to do is ascertain why she started speaking to this person in the first place.
Yeah.
And how she actually got introduced to doing that.
Yeah.
You know, because I think it makes a difference if she was seeking people out to write to in this way. As you know, when I was growing up, my parents knew somebody who was in prison.
Yeah.
So I used to visit, right? Yeah. Now, rightly or wrongly, there's kind of it. Say if I wrote to that person, there'd be a backstory to it. The person hasn't just randomly appeared. Like I haven't gone out and sought them out, if you see what I mean. Or I haven't read their story and think, oh, I must find them and write.
Yeah, of course, God no.
That's not. So I think the reasons for it very, very important, but it's still odd, regardless, that you would want to have this.
It is, and I wonder how
kind of some sort of backstory to it like that.
I wonder because. Is this something she was always been into? This might not have been the only person that she's messaged that's been a criminal.
Again, yeah. So that's why it's very important, I think. But my other thing is as well, he's saying that he's in love with her and wants to marry her, but does he actually really know her? He doesn't actually know her.
Yeah, I would not be able to not speak to this person about this.
No.
If I was him, I would not be able to not speak to my partner about what I'd found. I just would not be able to not speak. Probably wouldn't bring it up straight away. I'd probably be mulling it over for about a week, at least. But I would not be able to not bring it up. How can you continue the relationship? You need to bring this up because you need to know information about how long this has been going on. You need to know, has she done this before? Is this normal behaviour for her? Because that would make a huge difference for me. That would make a huge difference. Is this a new thing that she started doing because she's got this weird... Is she feeling like she's not getting enough attention of her partner? You know what I mean? Is there issues in the relationship that's caused this? Not that I'm blaming the husband because it's weird behaviour, you know what I mean? But I'm just thinking, like, is this her? Because some people are like this, aren't they? They go around doing this sort of thing all the time. Or is this recent and she's never done anything like this before? Because that makes a difference to me. That makes a difference because this is something that potentially could be solved.
I'd want to know how it started. That's what I'd want to know. I'd want to know the reasons why it began in the first place. What prompted her to write to such a person? That's what I'd want to know.
Well, this is what I'm asked. This is what I'm thinking, because I'm thinking, is it an issue that she's currently got which has caused this, or does she just like doing this? Is this something she's done before and it's just something she enjoys doing?
But that's odd, still odd.
But is it she's an odd person, or is she currently going through an odd time and a mental health thing? There's a difference. Do you know what I mean? I've got some comments here.
I personally don't think that it's something that she should be continuing in.
Oh,
really.
God, no. That needs to end.
Yeah, that needs to end.
That needs to end. I couldn't be in a relationship. I mean, that would be my... I don't know if ultimatum's the right word, because even if you say to her, oh, right, end this now, because we can't continue otherwise, even after that, you're still going to have issues after she's done something like that. It doesn't end at her just not writing those letters anymore. That, you know, there's something obviously off in this relationship. He says as well that he doesn't class it as cheating because it's written and not physical. But I beg to disagree. I think he should leave. I could not.
I don't actually think,
personally,
because I just think that the character, that's not the character. The way I would see it, that isn't the person that I know.
No, exactly.
That's the
You're
way
a stranger. Like, you know what I mean? At this point,
that's a massive thing. Like, do you know what? I could understand to a degree if they had a pen pal of somebody in another country, just a normal pen pal.
Yeah.
And that can sometimes happen.
And if it's not romantic, yeah, that's actually all right.
Sometimes you have pen pals, like it's something that's encouraged at school. I think I even wrote to somebody that was in Holland from school. A couple of times we kind of exchanged letters.
And it wasn't like romantic, was it?
No, it was a pen pal exchange. But if it was somebody you got on with and enjoyed writing to, that could continue into adulthood, and that could be totally innocent. That could be totally innocent.
No, completely. But you can have friendships and stuff with people that obviously...
This is entirely different. It's entirely different.
He actually says that there was romance vibes in the letters. He states, he didn't actually say what the letters exactly said. He just stated that they were romantic in content, and when you're with someone, you know what their version of romance is. When they're being romantic, you can tell by the way they write stuff. So he obviously knows there's some sort of romantic connotation behind these letters. They're not just some innocent. At the end of the day, like, it's weird anyway. Even if you wanted to be friends with Chris Watts, that would be weird. That would be weird behaviour, and even if it wasn't a romantic thing, that would be strange.
Well, and as we know, we both had it kind of experience. I dated someone, and this didn't obviously happen while I was dating him, but he went to jail for something really bad a couple of years after.
Yes,
we'd been dating, and obviously you were really close friends with him, and we both chosen to take that person out of our lives because we cannot agree with, and that's. So to me, it's...
Yeah, and I felt like I didn't know him after that.
Yeah, and the same. And so I think, if that's your romantic partner...
I just don't think I could. Because as well, for me, I'd question what that person was capable of. Not that they'd be capable of the same thing as the murderer, but I just feel like
it's not Chris Watts, I don't think.
Well, it might be.
It could be, actually. It was on the Reddit.
Yeah, it said no, it actually said
so it could actually be
because it was it said his
and
wife,
a lot of women have been doing that, haven't they?
Yeah, it said his wife and 2 kids. I'm leaning on the belief that it is about him. So I've got some comments here from people that have written. So comment 1 says, is your girlfriend writing letters to Chris Watts? Yeah. Either way, absolutely disgusting behaviour, and I suggest breaking it off. Why would anyone, regardless of if she's cheating or not, want to be friends with someone who killed their young children and pregnant wife? I'm of the agreement of that person.
100%. 100%.
Like, I couldn't, because that tells me that you condone that in some way.
Yeah.
So I've got another comment. Someone now says, let's set aside the do I talk to her issue for a moment. Realistically, the genie is now out of the bottle, on your end at least. You can't unlearn what you've learned or unread what you've read. So what you need to work out is, to what extent has this changed your opinion of her? And do you think you will ever be okay with her contact with him? It sounds like there may have been a certain degree of intimacy between the two of them. Are you okay with that? Is there any reason that she could possibly give you that she would make you okay with their relationship? If you don't think you can ever be okay with it, then end the relationship. Up to you if you want to tell her why. And personally, I would, and I would not hold back. I'm with this.
I'm in agreement, because I actually think that he doesn't know that person.
Yeah, I'm totally with this person.
You don't know them. If they're doing that, you don't really know them. And to me, that's showing a side of a character that I wouldn't feel kind of comfortable with.
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, this comment says, yeah, break up. Among the true crime junkies, there's a special few who get obsessed with murderers, and none of them are truly on their right mind. This is not a talk to her situation. This is a my girlfriend is cheating with a convicted murderer situation, and the only answer is to break up, and perhaps your friends should know about this. I agree.
Yeah.
I would break up. Right, this is what I would do. I'd leave them, and then I'd tell them why. Basic. You know, I'm leaving first, then I'm telling you why, because you're a psycho. I'm not trusting you. You might poison my meal before I leave. You know what I mean? If you're messaging a murderer.
You know what? I just think it shows the sort of character that that person might have an affair or might have event. I don't know. It just shows a side of character that wouldn't sit well with me.
This, at the end of the day, this person has already basically opened the door for affairs in her life.
Yes.
Your messaging. There's lots to dissect here, really, because there's the issue of your having romantic conversations with someone else. To me, that's emotionally cheating. Not only that, but they're a killer. They're a serial killer, and you're messaging them. So there's 2 issues here. There's 2. You want to be romantic with someone that's done something like that, and you're actively cheating on your partner. Like, why would you even want to communicate? I'd have so many questions.
That's the thing, there isn't actually, that's why I'm saying it's very important, the actual reason why they started writing to this person in the first place.
That reason is really important.
That reason is really important. If it's a conscious decision you've made yourself, then that shows a side to your character that I wouldn't want to be around.
Exactly. And that, to me, I mean, you're a stranger to me at that point. You know, I'm with someone and I find that information out about them, that person's a stranger.
Because you don't need to do it. You're not related to them. You don't. Why are you actively doing this?
Why are you actively doing that?
You don't need to.
I wonder if it stems from boredom. I know it sounds crazy, but, you know, some people do weird things when they're bored. And for some reason, they've normalised this in their mind. True crime, sometimes people get weird with it, you know, and get obsessed with it, and then things become desensitized, so they turn from joke, where you're just joking about stuff, to actual reality. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. There was that woman, wasn't there, that she was in prison. It was on Netflix, and she worked in a jail, and she went off with one of the convicted criminals. She escaped. She was actually quite a big part of that prison, so she had the ability to leave with prisoners. So that's how she escaped with him, because she was taken into an appointment, and they didn't arrive back at the jail, and that's how they started to wonder, oh, what's going on? They haven't arrived back in time. They haven't arrived back where they should have been back by now.
Yeah.
It turned out that they'd run off with each other. But he ended up killing her anyway in the police chase, and so that was all pointless. You may as well have just not done that. It's just lunacy. As I say, that this one's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, for me too. For me, get rid of her.
Get rid.
But obviously not in
not in a Chris Watts way. No. Not a true crime way. No. Well, I mean, this person, you need to end that relationship.
Pack her suitcase, and
my issue as well, because if you don't end the relationship, you're never going to trust her again. And also, not only that, you set the bar in this relationship for you're willing to put up with pretty much anything. You have to break up with this person. There's no choice. There's no choice. I really do not think there's a choice.
I think that if they don't break up now, they will break up over something in the future.
They will. And it'll either be her cheating or it'll be some other thing she's done.
What if she wants to start visiting this person in prison?
Well, this is what I'm saying. It can only escalate, because after a while that will get desensitized and it will get boring, because the excitement of messaging him and receiving messages will start to wear off. So the only way to get the excitement again, to do something bigger, and that will be visitation in jail. So you're right about that. That 100%. And certainly if this man never found out what his wife was doing, or girlfriend was doing, I should say, she would have carried on. I don't know, obviously, whether she's even going to stop messaging him, because it hasn't got to this point. There's no, I don't know, there could be an update, but I haven't got that here. Someone else said, you're not talking about Chris Watts, are you? That's effed up. I love true crime and watch all the time, even early in the morning. I know more stuff about killers than about my job, but I would never attempt to contact one. Those people are monsters. And there's a fine line between being fascinated by extreme human behaviour and craving personal connection with such people. Maybe it's like a surge of adrenaline for her. But in all honesty, I would personally be very worried and think twice about moving in with her, unless she's writing a book or something. That would be cool. Any other explanation is insufficient. Yeah, you're right. I guess there is the explanation if someone was being like journalistic and that was their job, and they were. That would be really cool if you were a journalist. But
why?
She obviously isn't a journalist, because he would know that about his girlfriend.
It's important to know why she started writing to him in the first place.
Yeah,
I think that's very important.
It's important. It's important to know that information. I'd want to know that. Whether it would make the difference between me splitting up with them, I don't know. I probably would still split up with them, but I'd want to know. I'd have so many questions in my head. In fact, maybe that's what I'd do first. Before the breakup, I'd leave. Then I'd want to ask questions. I would want to get as much information as I can. Then I'd break up. But I'm breaking up with that person. Do you know what I mean? There's no way I would feel so unsafe.
First.
I'd feel so unsafe. I would feel unsafe that person is connecting and romantically involving themselves with someone that's done such a heinous crime, because that's going to then start desensitizing those crimes in that person's mind that's speaking to that person, and they might start justifying their own effed up behaviour. That's why I would not be able to continue a relationship with this person. I just wouldn't be able to do it.
No, I wouldn't be able to. Knowing that they're kind of okay with that kind of thing. Do you know what? Even to the fact of with the wife, I'm not saying it's right.
Yeah.
But just say you don't know what. Obviously, it's wrong, whatever way. But the fact that there was children.
The fact there's children involved.
Do you know what I mean? Things can happen like.
It brings me to other levels. Exactly what mine. And I wonder, like, the effed up levels of this person's mind. It does make me wonder that, because you're right, it's not just a woman, or it's not just an adult that was, it was also children, and you're willing to look past that. You're willing to see the human in this person when they've done that. No. I mean, there's something a bit weird about you. There's something dangerous about you.
There is. And say, for instance, someone, you've got these women that have unalived their husbands, where they've been brutalised by their husbands for years and years and years, and they suddenly snap. If someone was writing to somebody like that, you could kind of accept it a little bit more. So just say that was the circumstances or whatever, but this isn't the circumstances. and there's little children involved.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think we both agreed that he should just get rid of her.
Oh, he needs to ding her.
But don't unalive her. Just
he needs to ding her, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a normal way. Yeah.
He needs a new normal girlfriend.
Yeah, that doesn't write to criminals.
Yeah.
Put them in jail because it's strange behaviour.
Yeah.